Before the Hellcats, before the LS engines, before superchargers ruled the streets, there were the originals, 6 engines that built the legend, forged in steel and gasoline. Chevrolet 396 L78, Chevelle SS 1965 to 1970. When Pontiac started the fire, Chevrolet came swinging back. The 396 L78 big block arrived in 1965 and instantly made the Chevelle SS a street brawler. With 375 horsepower, a solid lifter cam, and an 11:1 compression ratio, it was raw Detroit muscle at its finest. This engine didn't whisper, it shouted. The 396 L78 came alive past 4,000 RPM, pulling like a freight train and sounding like an explosion. In a time before traction control, drivers needed real skill to keep it straight. Built in Chevrolet's Tonawanda plant, each L78 was hand-assembled with racing precision. By 1966, it powered everything from the Chevelle SS 396 to the Camaro SS and Nova SS. Chevy's message was clear. The horsepower war was on, and the bow tie meant business. The 396 was more than just numbers, it had personality. It was violent, mechanical, and alive. The deep idle shake, the metallic clatter of solid lifters, and that unmistakable exhaust crack made it feel like a race car that escaped the factory. It became a favorite of weekend racers. Simple to work on, brutally fast, and bulletproof if treated right. By the end of the 60s, the 396 evolved into the 402, but the legend never faded. Pontiac 389 Tri-Power GTO 1964 to 1966. In 1964, Pontiac took a family car and gave it a heart attack. The Tempest became the GTO, and under the hood roared a 389 cubic inch V8 with 3 two-barrel carburetors. They called it the Tri-Power, and with 360 horsepower and over 430 pound-feet of torque, it could outrun nearly anything Detroit had built before. The setup was simple but brilliant. 1 center carb for cruising, 2 more that snapped open when you floored it. When they did, the sound was pure thunder. Pontiac's John DeLorean knew that America didn't just want transportation, it wanted adrenaline. The GTO gave it both, and at a price anyone could dream of. Pontiac marketed the car with a wink and a grin. Their ads didn't show luxury or quiet interiors. They showed tire smoke and quarter-mile times. The GTO's success shocked the entire industry and forced every American brand to build its own street fighter. It wasn't the most refined engine, but it had character, torque everywhere, brutal mid-range punch, and a soundtrack that defined a generation. The 389 Tri-Power didn't just sell cars, it started a movement built on horsepower, rebellion, and noise. And before anyone realized it, the muscle car revolution had begun. Ford 390 FE, Fairlane GT, Mustang GT, 1966 to 1969. Ford wasn't about to let GM steal the spotlight. In 1966, they dropped the 390 FE into the Fairlane GT and the brand new Mustang GT, giving Ford fans real muscle. With 335 horsepower and nearly 430 pound-feet of torque, it had more than enough punch to take on the GTO and Chevelle. The FE series was Ford's workhorse, powering Thunderbirds, pickups, even NASCAR stalkers. But in a Mustang, it became something else, a symbol of everyday performance. The 390 FE wasn't the most exotic, but it was durable, torquey, and easy to modify. It paved the way for the legendary 427 and 428 engines that came later. And for Ford, it was the first real taste of muscle car glory. The 390 had a heavy cast-iron block, but it could take punishment like few others. It pulled hard from idle, sounded angry through glass packs, and loved the open highway. Many early Mustangs and Fairlanes with this engine are still running today, a testament to Ford's engineering and sheer toughness. On drag strips, it earned respect for consistency rather than finesse, a motor that always finished what it started. Tuners loved its thick cylinder walls, which allowed easy overboring for extra displacement. Even stock, it could push a Mustang past 120 miles per hour, proving Ford finally had the muscle to match GM's best. And while others focused on style or flash, the 390 FE was all business, blue-collar power in its purest form. Mopar 383 Magnum Roadrunner Super B 1968 to 1971. When muscle cars got expensive, Mopar said, "Let's make them cheap again." In 1968, the 383 Magnum powered the Plymouth Roadrunner and Dodge Super B, cars that cost under $3,000 but could embarrass Corvettes. With 335 horsepower and massive torque, the 383 was pure working-class performance. It used a 4-barrel carb, 10-to-1 compression, and that unmistakable Mopar rumble. Roadrunners weren't fancy. No chrome, no nonsense. Just raw steel, bright colors, and a horn that went meep meep. The 383 Magnum made horsepower fun again, and it turned teenagers into racers overnight. The secret was balance. It had big block power without the big block price or weight of the 440. The 383 pulled hard from low RPMs, making it perfect for drag racing or stoplight showdowns. It could do quarter miles in the high 13ths, right out of the dealership lot. Its rugged bottom end meant it could take abuse, day after day, burnout after burnout. And when other cars broke, the 383 just laughed and kept pulling. It became the heart of Mopar's golden era, a reminder that performance didn't need to be exclusive. Even today, the sound of a 383 Magnum firing up still captures everything people loved about old-school American power. Simple, loud, and unstoppable. Oldsmobile 4, 42 400 cubic inches, 1965 to 1969. For Oldsmobile, the 442 wasn't just a model, it was an identity. 4-barrel carburetor, 4-speed transmission, 2 exhausts, simple, clear, and powerful. The 400 cubic inch V8 made 345 horsepower and 440 pound-feet of torque, giving the 442 effortless thrust. It combined refinement with aggression, smooth ride, strong brakes, and a deep rolling exhaust note. The 442 proved that Oldsmobile could be just as wild as Pontiac or Chevrolet, only in a sharper suit. By 1969, it became one of the best balanced muscle cars Detroit ever built. It wasn't the loudest, and it wasn't the flashiest, but it was built with precision. The chassis tuning made it handle corners better than most of its rivals. Its dual exhaust system gave it a tone unlike anything else. Deep, confident, and mature. Inside, the 442 mixed power with comfort. Bucket seats, wood grain trim, and a dashboard that looked more like an aircraft cockpit than a street racer. It was a car for people who wanted performance, but didn't want to shout about it.